What's going on, everyone? Bass here. So with day one of Packers training camp officially in the books, in this video I wanted to go over and summarize everything that happened today in camp. And if you do want more Packers training camp coverage, I'll be putting out videos such as this recap, highlights every day the Packers camp is open to public. So make sure to go down, click the subscribe button, as well as turn on post notifications to not miss a video. So first, before the practice started, Brian Gutekunst and Matt LaFleur had press conferences, so I quickly want to go over everything they said. So I'll start with Brian Gutekunst, and first he had a couple guys that were returning off the PUP/NFI list today. Dean Lowry, Patrick Taylor, Caleb Jones, and Khalif Bryce all returned today. As for other injury updates, Sammy Watkins, who was placed on the NFI list yesterday, is seen as a very short-term injury, and he'll be back sooner rather than later. As for the other wide receiver that's injured, second-round rookie Christian Watson, that injury is seen as a little bit more than Sammy Watkins, but isn't long-term overall. It has been said that he had a procedure done right after OTAs, an injury he supposedly suffered in OTAs, so it was just a cleanup on, I believe, what is his right leg. If you saw my highlight videos from training camp today, you'll see a clip where he's wearing a long leg sleeve over his right leg. So I would assume this has to do with his right leg. Goot also said there's no official timetable for the return of David Bakhtiari. I'll have more directly from Bach later in this video, but he said they are also very optimistic. And then some really good news about Elgton Jenkins. Goot said that Elgton Jenkins is actually ahead of schedule. He said, quote, "Elgton's doing great. We're certainly excited to have him out there, which we think will be soon. He's certainly ahead of schedule." Also, in regards to wide receivers, Brian Gutekunst stated that they are not looking to add a veteran wide receiver as of now, so we can finally put that to rest. He followed it up with, quote, "He really likes the group we have." So that kind of echoes the things I've been saying the past few weeks. I think the Packers are very comfortable with their current wide receiver group, and that's with Sammy Watkins and Christian Watson hurt right now. They're still very comfortable with their group. Romeo Doubs, Danny Davis, Juwan Winfrey all had good days today in training camp. As for Matt LaFleur, when he was asked about giving guys such as Sean Ryan and Zach Tom more tackle reps with David Bakhtiari, Elgton Jenkins out, he said he will be moving a lot of guys around, and you'll see that later when I tell you where the linemen lined up in first and second team. He also boasted about special teams coach Rich Basaraski, saying, quote, "I've learned more about special teams than I ever have in my life sitting in his meetings," which is very good. It seems like Rich Basaraski is laying a lot of foundation to rebuild the special teams and make it an actual good unit rather than last year the worst in the NFL. When Matt LaFleur was asked about Christian Watson, he emphasized the importance of Watson getting out here quickly, but then he said, quote, "I don't have a whole lot of expectation on when he'll get caught up to speed." Then he also said, quote, "There's nothing like getting the reps. He was pretty impressive with how quickly he was able to pick everything up." So again, it's kind of the same thing. You know, they want Christian Watson out there. They're not exactly sure when that's going to be. I think they do believe he will be back sooner rather than later. It's not a long-term injury. They just want him to get out there, get the reps, and get on the same page with Aaron Rodgers. All right, so now let's go into the actual takeaways from practice. And first, I will say Elgton Jenkins was in the rehab group, and he looked very good. I have those clips on the highlight video from today's practice. If you want to go watch that, just click the link right above. It looks like he was favoring his left leg a little bit, his torn ACL leg a little bit, but overall, he looked very nimble, very quick, and like they said, ahead of schedule. Allen Lazard was the first wide receiver up during individual drills, showing that he likely will start as the #1 wide receiver. Moving into the team drills portion of the practice, I'll start with the starting offense, and they're rotating these guys a lot, so don't read too much into this. Yosh Nijman started at left tackle, John Runyon Jr. left guard, Josh Myers at center, Jake Hansen at right guard, and Royce Newman at right tackle. Allen Lazard and Juwan Winfrey were receivers 1 and 2 in the 11 personnel, and in the 11 personnel, Big Dog and Tyler Davis were tight ends 1 and 2. As for the starting defense in base formation, it was Jerron Reed at the 3 tech, Slayton at the nose tackle, and Kenny Clark at the 5 tech. Devondre Campbell and Quay Walker were linebackers 1 and 2. Rashawn Gary, Preston Smith, edges 1 and 2. Jair Alexander and Eric Stokes, corners 1 and 2, and Adrian Amos at safety, as well as Darnell Savage. As for some second team notes for offense and defense, Zach Tom got slated in at left tackle #2, and he also got some left guard work as well, just showcasing his versatility. I mean, this dude could probably play anywhere across the offensive line. Michael Manet was left guard #2. Jake Hansen was center #2, so Jake Hansen got a lot of reps today. I think that's kind of a guy that's been flying under the radar and has a good chance to make this roster, kind of be that Lucas Patrick of last year, maybe a guy that can be a backup center and play guard as well, other multiple positions. Jake Hansen is that 6th rounder out of Oregon from a few years ago, if you remember. Sean Ryan got snaps at right guard #2, and Cole Van Lanna got snaps at right tackle #2. As for defense, Rasul Douglas remained at slot cornerback #1, so that wasn't a fluke during OTAs. They do think Rasul Douglas will be their slot cornerback to start. He also got perimeter reps with the second team as well. And speaking of cornerback, Shamar Jean-Charles was the 4th cornerback in rotation, but we also have to realize Kayshawn Nixon is out on the NFI list, so if he was there, who knows if it would be him or Shamar at cornerback 4. One little note about special teams, which I'm so happy about. Jack Coco started as the long snapper 1. Gosh, I hope he wins that job. I do not want Steven Wordle out there anymore. I want full-fledged Jack Coco. So for the players that impressed today, first of which, Allen Lazard. He looked lighter. He looked more in shape. He was that wide receiver 1 today, and he really did impress. Rodgers went his way a lot today, showcasing his connection with Allen Lazard, including a 50-yard touchdown, which was a miraculous jump ball, bobbled catch, kind of an Antonio Freeman he-did-what situation over Adrian Amos. In team drills, Tyler Goodson also had a nice couple of plays, and on defense, Quay Walker really showcased his sideline-to-sideline speed, shutting down Aaron Jones on one of his runs. And it's also not official, but I think a couple of the plays, Quay Walker actually called the plays, and that would be a big step going forward. You know, him already being able to call plays in the absence, say, of Devondre Campbell his rookie year. Danny Davis also had a pretty nice day, had a really nice catch from Jordan Love. And Juwan Winfrey, man, he's always this training camp star. He picked up right where he left off from last year, a deep catch from Aaron Rodgers with 3 defenders around him, Stokes in coverage. Juwan also had a really nice day. As for another wide receiver, Amari Rodgers has definitely slimmed down. I believe he's down to 208 pounds, and he looks a lot more dynamic. But out of all of the rookie wide receivers, the one that impressed the most today was 4th rounder Romeo Doubs out of Nevada, and he's going to get plenty of chances early with Christian Watson and Sammy Watkins out. A lot of people believe in Romeo Doubs, saying he will contribute a lot year 1 as a 4th rounder, and he showed that today in practice. He looked like he's been there for a while. He did really well, made a ton of catches, and did well against coverage. And then finally, Jordan Love was throwing some lasers out there like he used to at Utah State. I also do have a couple of post-practice player interview takeaways, first of which Mason Crosby said he had his right knee scoped 2 weeks ago. That's obviously on his kicking leg, so that's definitely something to monitor. And he also hinted at missing a couple of preseason games, saying he's never missed preseason games, but he's okay with missing a couple. So he seems like he'll be out for the most of training camp. And then mirroring back on David Bakhtiari himself, he said he does not have an exact return date, but stated he felt really good, and this is the first time he felt normal since suffering the injury, so that's good news as well. But that about does it for today's practice and takeaways from day 1 of training camp. I'm so glad that football is finally back. And as I said, I'll also be making a recap of every day's training camp that's open to the media. But that about does it for this one. I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching, and as always, go Pack Go.